Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for Wlbt Plus. This is Kara Shirley. I'm your digital news desk host. And what we just saw as you joined the live, what we just saw was Councilman Aaron Banks arriving to the federal courthouse. So, as I'm sure all of you are aware, indictments did come down today for Jackson Mayor. Chokwe Antar Lamamba, and then we have Aaron Banks, Councilman Aaron Banks. He's the president of the Jackson City Council, and Hinds County DA Jody Owens. The hearing for this is set to start at 1:30. We are set up outside of the federal courthouse right now. We are waiting for now Jody Owens and Mayor Lamumba to arrive and go into their hearing. Like I said, it is scheduled to begin at 1:30. We just saw Aaron Banks go into the federal courthouse, and now we are waiting for the other two people that are listed in the indictment. So the indictment came down today again for Jody Owens, Shockway Antar Lamumba, and Aaron Banks. We have it here. We have it on our website. You can go to our website and read it all. It is several pages, several pages, 32 pages, I believe. Yeah. And just so you know what they are all facing right now, as far as jail time goes for the different counts that they have against them right now, they are looking at, pull up my notes here. We are looking at Jody Owens is looking at the possibility of 90 years in jail. Mayor Lamumba is looking at 75 years. Aaron Banks is looking at 15 years. And then Marve Smith, who has already pleaded in this, he is looking at 5 years. And then Angelique Lee, the former councilwoman for Jackson City Council, is looking at 5 years as well. So let's take a look at what their charges and their counts are as we do wait for them to get into the courthouse. As a matter of fact, let me pull this up for you guys so that you can see it when we see it. And actually, I'm going to turn the volume down for you real quick. There we go. All right. So as soon as they make their appearance and they are heading into the courtroom, to the federal courthouse, rather, we will go straight there and you'll be able to see that. So this is what we are looking at as far as the penalties and the charges, counts that they have against them. So for Owens, Banks, and Lamumba, we are looking at a count one charge of conspiracy. This conspiracy has no more than 5 years of imprisonment, no more than $250,000 fine, no more than 3 years supervised release, and $100 special assessment. So that's the first count that they're looking at. Jody Owens is looking at a charge of federal program bribery. Banks is also looking at a count of federal program bribery. Owens is also looking at that as two counts, another count of federal program bribery. Lumumba looking for that as well. Owens, 3 counts of a federal program bribery. Lumumba is looking at a count of using an interstate facility in the aid of racketeering. Owens is also looking at the same count. Count 9 for Owens and Lumumba, we are looking at wire fraud. Also another count of money laundering. For Jody Owens, we have another count of false statements. So in all, between them, we have 11 counts. Some of them are for multiple people. It is a lot to go through. I can promise you that. So let's see. Kim Watson says, page 11 of the indictment, Owen said he ain't going to prison. Owen said a lot of things. And if you look at the indictment, if you look at the stories that we have on our website already, you can read it for yourself. Some of the things that he says that they have quoted him as allegedly saying. Let me put it this way, because even though the indictment has come down, he has still not been found guilty in the court of law. So this is all allegedly, of course. But in the indictment, we have where it shows that they have, this has been going on since October of 2023. That's how long this has been happening. Let me pull up something else real quick. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. I am sorry. There we go. And here, All right, I had to change a couple of settings. I apologize for that. Okay, so we have this has been going on since October the 16th of 2023. That is when Jody Owens was first approached by the people that are we now know were FBI informants. So that happened then. We have sto- uh, in the indictment information about them being on a trip to Florida where they Lumumba Owens Banks, especially Lumumba and Owens, were down there and met with these guys who were the FBI informants, posing as developers out of Nashville. What we're seeing here is that they met with them. Then they got a lot of money to go to some clubs there, cash money that was made in indictment, or I'm sorry, in deposits into their campaign, Lumumba's campaign account, and a lot of stuff. I mean, we're looking at just in the first time Owens, he requested $125,000 for soliciting the bribes or handling this. So looking here, so the first time they met was in October. I told you that. If you can read the indictment, you'll be able to see during this time. This is when Owen solicited and accepted at least $115,000 in cash and a promise of future financial benefit from developers, making this promise to use his relationship with Banks, Lumumba, and Angelique Lee as an intermediary for over $80,000 in bribe payments. If we go on down, I want to quote some of the things that Jody Owens said to the developers that he believed people who believed to be developers that we know now were FBI informants. So on October the 9th through the 11th of 2023, Owens and others went on a trip to Nashville through a private jet that was funded by the FBI on behalf of the developers. The purpose of the trip was in part to discuss business opportunities in Jackson. So at this time, Owens, according to the indictment, Owens was ready, willing, and predisposed to engage in bribery at least as early as October the 16th. On that date, Owens told the developers about his influence in the city of Jackson and the ability to purchase the support of public officials in the city of Jackson. It goes on to say that Owens also told the developers that he and Marvay Smith, quote, own enough of the city, end quote, and that he had, quote, a bag of blank F word information on all of the city councilmen, end quote, and that what he knew, quote, allowed him to get votes approved. Then, during Owens' reelection victory party that happened on November the 7th, the developers were there. And Owens responded or talked to the developers unprompted, said that his position as a district attorney was, quote, the part time job. The full time job is developing. This is the part time job to get leverage for the full time job. This is the part time job to get the conversations and the access. Access equals all the other S word we're trying to do. End quote. That was Jody Owens, according to the indictment. Jody Owens said this to the developers who were the FBI informants. Going on, looking at some other stuff. January 11th, the developers met with Jody Owens, Marvay Smith, and Aaron Banks in the back room of Company A. They have listed here. There, Owens had a sidebar conversation with Banks in which Owens told Banks that he would tell the developers to pay Bank, quote, $25,000 now and $25,000 later. So this is what Banks then told the developers. I'm sorry, Owens stated to the developers, says, and this is really hard to read. We never give them the asking price. I buy blank. I buy cars. I buy cows. I buy drugs, whatever. My point is, like, Banks needs 50, you get 30. He gets installments. That's my game. Some people will overpay and say I'm the guy who needs more, and some people will choose who to pay. Who wants 50? We'll give them 15 this year and 15 next year. That is reported by staying by Owens, Jody Owens. Then later, when he is talking to the developers again, asking about when they're talking about the cash and where the money would come from, He stated, well, first he explained that because public officials finance their personal lives through their campaign contributions or campaign accounts, uh, campaign contributions were the most effective way to influence them. So as long as the money came from within the state of Mississippi. So to that end, Owen said that he had to, quote, clean, unquote, end quote, the money. He planned to deposit all cash provided to him by the developers into a bank account that was owned by a Mississippi company. Owens then stated in this, uh, and again, we are watching to see when they arrive. All right. Owen stated, quote, I don't give a blank where the money comes from. It can come from blood diamonds in Africa. I don't give a blank blank. I'm a whole DA. Blank that blank. Can't say these words, y'all. My job, as I understand it, with a little paperwork, is to get this deal done and to get it done most effectively. We can take dope boy money. I don't give a blank, but I need to clean it and spread it, and I can do it in here. That's why we have businesses to clean the money, right? I don't give a blank. You give us cash, we deposit it and give it back that way. That's easy. So that's something that Owens said to the developers as well. We have times where he is speaking with Mayor Lumumba, according to this. Um, Let me get to where he is talking with Lumumba. Sorry, guys. Okay, so well, first let's go back to where Owens is meeting with the developers in the back room of his business or a business company A's business. They're discussing a trip to Florida with Mayor Lumumba. Owens laid out the plan to buy his support, buy the mayor's support. Specifically, Owens explained that because the mayor would not take cash directly from developers, the developers would need to give Owens between $50,000 and $100,000 so that Owen could deposit the cash and get campaign contribution checks, and that's in quote or asterisks, campaign contribution checks with those funds from third party Mississippi. Owens emphasized that if the developers gave Lumumba $100,000 in cash, quote, then everybody goes to jail because we gave over 5,000 cash. Stating right there, that shows proof right there that obviously he knew this was not right. Owens went on to say that he kept the money. Excuse me. Owens went have to keep my phone on, guys, so that I can hear if we get any alerts on anything happening there that we may not have on the camera. Okay. Owens went on to say that he kept the money to given to him by developers in a safe at the district attorney's office, mixed in with quote dope money and drug money and more than $1 million. Dope money, drug money, and more than $1 million in his safe at the district attorney's office. Uh, Owens made it clear that he did not keep large amounts of cash at his home. That money could be linked to him, directly to him, while money kept in with other funds in the district attorney's office could not be. Here's what Owens said, quote, because if someone comes in my mother blank safe, it is $1 million in cash. It's $1 million. You know what? If they come to my house, it reads like DA Owens had 20 grand in cash. The regular the regular people who vote for me, who give me 10 or $100, they can't count that much money. But guess what? In my safe at my DA's office, who do we have arriving? We have somebody arriving here. Here he is, Jody Owens, right here. Let's go live to this. You see here, Jody Owens is arriving to the federal courthouse right now. Lots of press there waiting out to meet him. He did not respond to anybody asking any questions there. And so now we are just waiting on Mayor Lumumba to arrive. Okay, so that is what we are sitting at right now. We have now Councilman Aaron Banks has arrived there to the federal courthouse. DA Jody Owens, Hinds County DA Jody Owens just arrived there. And our last person that we are waiting to arrive is the mayor of Jackson, Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba. So, and it looks like There he is. There he is right there coming in from across the street. Here we go. And here you can see we have the mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, arriving to the federal courthouse right now. Now, Mayor of Jackson, Chokwe Antar Lumumba, standing right there, coming in. He has been indicted on federal charges, facing up to 75 years in jail based on these federal charges. You can see there he did not respond to anybody. He did not answer any questions. He just went in with his very large entourage following him. So now we have all three members of the indictment that came down yet or came down this morning rather. We found out about it yesterday, but it came down today. All three of the people listed in that have arrived to the courthouse now, the federal courthouse here in Jackson. We have Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba, who has arrived. We have DA Jody Owens, who arrived, and then first to arrive was Councilman Aaron Banks, Jackson City Councilman Aaron Banks. He's the president of the city council here. And now we're going to just wait. We're going to wait and see what happens. We will, be back here. I'm going to be here for a few more minutes, but we'll be back with you and showing everything when they come out of the courtroom or come out of the courthouse. We can't take cameras or any type of recording device into the federal courthouse and federal courtrooms. So we do have CJ LeMaster. He is in there, and he is he's seeing what happens today. We'll hear from him tonight in our newscast, so make sure you tune into that. Make sure you download the WLBT app so that you can get notifications on when the information comes down, when we go live with our newscast, and you can watch that and, of course, see all the stories. You can watch our newscast live on our app, or you can watch it on demand if you miss it when it happens live. So let's go back to what Jody Owens said to the developers regarding the safe that was in his office at the DA's office. Of course, he said, if someone comes into my MF safe, it is $1 million in cash. He went on to say, the regular people who vote for me, who give me $10 or $100, they can't count that much money. Which, in my mind, it speaks to the as if he is speaking to the intelligence of those who donated to him or that are his constituents. The regular people who vote for me, who gave me $10 or $100, they can't count that much money. But guess what? In my safe, I've got $1 million in cash. And guess what? Your effing, and again, remember, he is talking to the developers here. Your effing 10 grand doesn't matter. Your 15 grand, it doesn't matter. I've got $1 million in there. But guess what? At my house, it matters. So that is something else that he said to the informants. Then we have a text message that was sent to Lumumba from Owens. And Owens texted Lumumba saying, two things to chat about when you have a moment. They came into town to submit their proposal, but learned the deadline had been adjusted another 45 days, presumably because no one else had applied. We need to understand how to donate. Again, this is Owens talking to the mayor of Jackson in a text message. We need to understand how to donate to your reelection campaign in a sizable way that is most appropriate. Don't know if you have a PAC or when you're planning to, or if we can go through you a private fundraiser. So yes, they did actually hold a sham of a fundraiser for the mayor so that he could receive the contributions of $50,000, 5 different checks of $10,000 each. Let's go and look. It talks in here about the Owens orchestrating the bribe with Angelique Lee, and now him orchestrating the bribes from Mayor Lumumba. All right, so on March 27th and 28th, after the developers delivered $50,000 in cash to Owens at the Hinds County District Attorney's Office, Owens converted that money into 5 $10,000 campaign contribution checks from Smith, Owens, Company B, and two other associates of Owens. Owens reimbursed Smith and the two associates in full. On April 2nd, 2004, Owens, Lumumba, Smith, and the developers traveled to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, via a private jet paid for by the FBI on behalf of the developers. That same day, Owens and Lumumba met with the developers in a private room on a yacht. And the meeting was audio and video recorded. We do have some of the some of the pictures from that they took and that was listed in this indictment. This is the exchange that was captured on the video. Owens saying, "We want to be very mindful of out-of-state money." The mayor, "Yeah." Owens, "So what this team did was give us the money, being me, and we just filtered it through several accounts in a way we comfortable doing." The mayor responds, "Yeah." Owens, "So we did five $10,000 checks to make it very simple. And then when we get past the process to our second phase, maybe in Jackson, maybe somewhere else, we'll do something similar." Mayor responds, "Yeah." Owen says, "To make sure there's no worries about you financially in this thing, because you're as big a part of this thing as anybody." Let me show you the pictures that we have here that were listed. So in this one, we can see Jackson Mayor and Jody Owens, DA, Hinds County DA, sitting there. This is when the mayor is actually calling one of the employees at the here in Jackson, calling a city employee, and he is directing that employee to move the RFQ submission deadline. So the developers were concerned about a deadline that had been moved. Like I said earlier, they said presumably because no one had applied or submitted an RFQ for it, so they moved the deadline. Well, the developers wanted the mayor to move the deadline back, and so that is what he did. That is what they're showing here in this picture. He is talking to the city employee, asking them to move the deadline. Later in this discussion, developer handed five $10,000 checks to the mayor in an envelope. He handed those to the mayor in an envelope, at which time Owen stated, quote, "These checks are Mississippi checks, but they're from this group." And Lumumba stated, "Okay." Show you that video or picture. So this is where he is. You can see here in his hand, he has those checks in his hand. And this is when Owens is telling him that they are from the developers. They're Mississippi checks, but they are from developers. So it says here that Owens and Lumumba understood that the money from the developers was in exchange for Lumumba directing his subordinate to move the RFQ submission deadline up. Owens and Lumumba also understood that the change in the RFQ deadline was worth more than $5,000, giving the resulting likelihood of elimination of competition for the developer's desired development project, and given the developer's agreement to pay Lumumba $50,000 to move up the deadline and to pay him an additional $50,000 in the future. So developer 2 then directly asked Lumumba whether the RFQ submission deadline would in fact be moved up. Lumumba then looks at his phone, checking text messages, and he informed the developers that the city employee texted him to confirm that the deadline would be moved. Later on that same day, Owens had a separate discussion with the developers and accepted an additional $50,000 in cash contained in a bag from developer 2 for his services. Owens removed the cash from the bag and he put it in his pockets, as you can see right here. You can see there in his hand, what would be his left hand is a stack of cash. In his right hand is a bag there that he presumably removed the money from. So there is the $50,000 that he received from the developers. Then during the evening of April the 2nd, that as planned by Owens and as agreed by Lumumba in advance of the Florida trip, Owens, Lumumba, and the developers and others went to a local club down there in Fort Lauderdale. Before going to the club, Owens directs the developers to make cash available for Lumumba to use at the club. Pursuant to Owens' instructions, developer 2 gave $5,000 cash to Lumumba and others for him to use for himself and others at the club. While they were at the club, according to the document, Lumumba directed developers to pay cash to employees of the club for his benefit, for Lumumba's benefit. All right, so there we have for that. And then we know that on or about April the 4th, the five $10,000 checks that the mayor received, as shows right here in this, those five checks were deposited into his campaign bank account. Prior to the deposit of $50,000, the account balance was approximately 400, very specific for approximately, but it says the account balance was approximately $465.30. After that, he had $50,000 more in that account. Goes on to show where when they raided Jody Owens' office, they found a book in there that turned out to be a safe. Here's the book on your screen. You can see it here. It says The Constitution of the United States of America. That's what the book looks like. It was on his bookshelf, but this is what was inside of that book. It is actually a safe with some cash in it. And that cash is cash that came from the developers, and they were able to trace that through serial numbers. They know that the money was deposited, some of the cash money was deposited through serial numbers being traced. And then, of course, they have this cash here with serial numbers that they have recorded. And one more that we want to say. So, beginning no later than October 23rd and continuing until at least May 23rd of 2024. I'm sorry, October of 2023 through May 23rd of 2024. The defendants, Jody Owens, Aaron Banks, and Chokwe Antar Lumumba, together with Angelique Lee and Sharik Marve Smith, and others known and unknown, did knowingly and unlawfully combine, conspire, confederate, and agree together and with each other to commit the following offenses against the United States. And then it goes on to list all of the offenses. So Owens and Smith agreed to corruptly give, offer, and give things of value $10,000 cash and other benefits to banks, approximately $19,000 in cash to Angelique Lee, $50,000 in campaign contributions to Lumumba, and the intent to influence Banks Lumumba Lee in connection with business transactions and series of transactions in the city of Jackson. Lots more. I mean, y'all, it's 32 pages. 32 pages. It just came down today. It became available between 9 and 10. And we're trying to read over it, trying to give you guys all of the highlights. I think one of the things that bugs me the most, not really bugs me the most in here, but another quote that we saw from Jody Owens as when he is talking to Banks. He says, I've done background checks. They're not the FBI. It shows that in here, saying that he stated that. We have a breakdown of the dates that these things happen. We know December 13th of 23, Owens accepted $125,000 in cash from the developers to facilitate this scheme. On January 11, Owen and Banks, that's January 11 of this year, Owen and Banks determined that the price for bank support of and the votes for the developers would be $50,000 and communicated that price to developers. So basically on January 11th, they came up with a price of $50,000 for Banks and told the developers that is what they would need to pay Banks. February 13th, Owens offered and Banks accepted $10,000 from the developers in exchange for Banks' future vote or votes in support of the developer's proposed development project. On the 15th, Owens paid $10,000 of Lee's campaign debt with funds from the developers. And that was Angelique Lee. Remember how she had a campaign debt? Her wages were being garnished for some items that she had printed for this, for her campaign. And so this is the money, too, that went towards that. March 24th, between March 24th and April 1st, Owens converted $50,000 in cash received from the developers for Lumumba's bribe payment into five $10,000 campaign contribution checks from third parties, including Smith. April the 2nd, here's the fundraiser. At a sham campaign fundraiser for Lumumba, Owens delivered the five $10,000 checks to Lumumba in exchange for Lumumba's officials' acts in favor of the developers, including the RFQ deadline moving. We have where, again, on the 2nd, during a meeting between Owens, Lumumba, and the developers on that yacht in Florida, uh, before Lumumba receiving those checks, Lumumba called the City of Jackson employee and instructed that employee to move the RFQ submission deadline, which is causing wire transmission in interstate commerce. And basically, he committed wire fraud with that. That is what that means. It is illegal to do that, especially cross state lines. It was wire fraud there. April 4th, Lumumba calls five $10,000 checks to be deposited into his campaign account. On April the 5th, and a check in the amount of $9,500 was made payable to Lumumba from his campaign account. And then again on April the 8th, a check of $5,000 was made payable to Lumumba from his campaign account. We know yesterday in the video that the mayor released announcing his knowledge or his learning, according to him, of these bribery scandal, of the indictments coming down. We know that he says that he did not accept bribes. He did not accept bribes. He also stated that in a press conference that he had earlier for the city, where he was asked about it, and he says he did not accept bribes. According to this indictment, assuming that it is true and factual and that he is found guilty, it shows here that he did, in fact, know. According to this indictment, he was told. He was told explicitly what it was for. He knew. Does that mean that in his statements, the video that he released yesterday, if this holds up, if this is true, then he lied? Again, knowing that it was going to happen, knowing what was going to happen. Now, what we do know as well with the law here in the United States, you are innocent until proven guilty. And even though there may be all kinds of signs out in the public, on social media or anything like that, that points to guilt, that makes you want to very much believe and shows what you or some of us might think as being, proof beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's got to go through the court system. We got to go through the courts before we know what actually happened. If they are actually guilty, we may believe they're guilty, but we got to get a guilty verdict before we can say that they're guilty, they lied, all of this stuff. It is a lot. There's been a lot happening today. We knew this was coming down today. That's why we have been waiting for it and collecting information. If you go to our website, Wlbt.com, you can see we have a lot of stories up already about this, talking about the felony counts that they are facing. For instance, DA Owens facing 8 felony counts, the mayor facing 5. Owens could get up to 90 years. The mayor could get up to 75 years. Now, Marve Smith and Angelique Lee, they could still face up to 5 years each in jail, but they have already pleaded. They've already made a plea deal. So the likelihood of them going to prison, while that is not off the table at this moment, not that we are aware of, that chance is still out there. They could get 5 years. And then we have Banks, who is looking at 15 years. Is that what I said earlier? I'm finding my note where I wrote that down. So I want to make sure that I try to give you guys the most accurate or the accurate information. I believe Banks is looking at 15 years. So if you go to our website, Wlbt.com, you can read all of this for yourself. You can see it all for yourself. You can see all the quotes from Jody Owens that are listed in this indictment. It's some foul language in there. It's some vulgar language, extremely vulgar language in there. And it is language that, in my opinion, talks down on those people that have supported him in his campaign. Let us know what your thoughts on all this, what you guys have been doing a great job on our comment section, putting all of this out here. Let's see. Karen Kane says, audio and video don't lie. And why? I'm looking. I want to make sure that I am reading comments that are appropriate to put on screen. So this is a good one. This one says, what about Phil, Tate, and Brett? Phil, Tate, and Brett are, they're still being investigated. That's still happening, and that's not something that we are not reporting on. It's just not something that is not happening right now. This is something that is happening right now. So even though we may not be talking about that right now, does not mean that is not important as well. It also doesn't mean that this isn't important. It's all very important. We got embezzlement, looking at possible embezzlement over there with Brett Favre and Phil and all of that stuff. We have bribery, federal bribery scheme happening over here with the Hines County and with Jackson City Council people. So I understand a lot of people have said that, a lot of people have asked that question, but just because one investigation is not finalized or comes to fruition on one side does not mean that another investigation cannot happen on another side. Does that make sense? Um, but thank you so much for your comment. I do appreciate it. Anthony Robertson says deals are being made to rat on the mayor. That is possible. I mean, we had Angelique that already went to. She was already there. She already made a deal. We have Marve Smith that already made a deal, so we know that happened. Um, I don't know what the deal was. We don't know what that information yet, but I'm sure we will find that out. Very good. Sharon is saying, I'm looking at Wlbt.com, but I don't see the info. Sharon, I'm going to put the link to the stories. Let's see. I will, here. This is the most recent one, and this is I'm going to put the link in the story for you guys. This is real time, guys. I'm sorry if I'm seeing a little stuttering here with everything, but there you go. And Lawanda Hill has a great statement here. Sad day in the city of Jackson. And that is very true. It is sad that officials in the city of Jackson, that they have done this, that they've allegedly done this, is very sad. But it can also be, if you look at it on the flip side or try to look at the silver lining in it, it's good that this is coming to light so that we can fix it and that we can hopefully get people in office in those positions that are not going to be susceptible to doing things like this, right? I mean, it is sad. It's sad that those in authority over the city of Jackson have made these choices, but it's also good that we are learning this information and it's coming to light so that we can correct it and hopefully pay more attention in the future so that maybe something like this won't happen again. Just looking. Melinda says, when are y'all going to interview Kenny Stokes? He's been telling us for years. Well, Mr. Stokes does have a press conference that he's holding today at 6 that I'm sure we will be at. So Danielle says, so we don't have a city council right now, huh? Well, you do, because they do not unless they've been charged or they've been found guilty, they can stay in their roles. The mayor, DA, Owens, they can all, not Owens, I'm sorry, Banks, they can all stay in their roles. They do not have to be released from their duties, or they don't have to even resign until they are found guilty in the court of law. Should they resign? Let me know what you think. Put it in the comments here. Should they go ahead and resign and step down from their roles? Should they do that? I know a lot of people are going to say no, they need to stay where they are until it has been proven guilty. There's also going to be some people that may think yes, they need to, because not only is this causing shame for the city of Jackson, for officials in Jackson, but it also can put a hindrance to the job of running a city getting done. So step down, step out of the way, and allow someone else to come in that can fully focus on Jackson and what needs to happen in Jackson and not have to worry about defending themselves in a federal bribery scandal. Some people may think that. It's going to be a lot. It'll be very interesting. Rita Blackman says, where is the link? It is not in the chat yet. Rita, I will put the link here again for you. You put it in the chat, so it's coming through right now for you guys. So let's see. I'm looking at what you guys think. Should they step down? Arlene says no, she does not believe it. Louise Clark says yes, that she believes that they should step down. Looking, guys, put in your comments. What do you think? Should they stay? On YouTube over here, we have Seashells Prosperity says no, stay until proven guilty, because otherwise it will prove you can bully people out of work. That's a good thought. I said, we've got a lot of thoughts, a lot of comments, a lot of opinions, leaning both ways. Remember, I'm going to ask you this always, especially when I solicit your comments in here. Please be kind to each other. two wrongs don't make a right. If we come in this, and I know there's a lot of people on opposite ends of the spectrum, but let's treat each other with kindness and dignity and respect and have a civil conversation about things like this. Lucky says innocent until proven guilty. Very true. That is very true. Karen Kane says might as well. You darned if you do and darned if you don't. And it's looking, see any of the other comments. Okay. Well, guys, that is what we got right now. That is all that we have right now. Again, CJ Lemaster is inside the federal courtroom right now. We can't take cameras or any type of recording device. Actually, really kind of any electronic device that can transmit messages. Can't have that inside of there. But we will learn later today what happened. Make sure you download the WLBT News app so that you can get those alerts and that notifications. If you haven't already, if you're watching us on YouTube, on Twitch, on Facebook, if you haven't already liked the WLBT page or subscribed to us on YouTube, please go ahead and do that. Even on YouTube, there's a little bell that you can hit to get notified when we go live. Click that bell, get notified, get all the ways you can to get this information delivered to you. As soon as we get it into you, we send it out, or get it into us, we send it out to you. So that's going to be it for us here today on the Digital News Desk. Tune in to our newscasts. You can watch them all on our app, and you will get more information. Also, keep your eyes on our website, and just as the stories are posted, you'll be able to see those there. I appreciate you guys coming and tuning in with us. It's a big day here in the city of Jackson. Good or bad, it's a big day here in the city of Jackson. So thank you guys for tuning in. I will be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Our first alert weather team will be in at 2:30 today, unless something breaking happens to where they're not able to be on. But they will be back at 2:30 today to give you a look at your forecast. We have Hurricane Raphael out there in the Gulf. Is it coming towards us? Is it not? They'll be able to let you know that. And then, of course, tune in to our newscast later tonight. You guys have a great day, and we will see you later.